Future Friday, and if you're here, you have to know it. And if you don't, well, this is RPG with DBJ, and I am your host, DBJ. All classmates, collegiates, creatives, community kind folks out there, welcome to the show. Welcome to the channel. Today on Future Friday, of course, well, we're going to talk about, well, the future. Now, when it comes to role-playing games and, of course, the world's most popular role-playing game itself, Dungeons and Dragons, we consider the future to be pretty much the industrial age on forward. But considering the concept of everything we've been talking about all week, we're going to definitely go intergalactic. We've got to go outside of our solar system because we've pretty much focused on a lot of how society has been affected. Now, if you're seeing this, you of course see my face down in the corner, and you see like teleportation, portals, warps. We're talking about a tabletop RPG setting in which this is the kind of thing that is ubiquitous. It is in and of itself part of the realm. Now, I hear you out there going, well, we already had a show called Stargate, and if you're playing a role-playing game, you're like, I have Eclipse Phase, they have Pandora Gates, I'm already familiar with this concept. Well, that's the whole point. That's what we're here to talk about. And I find that, and much like the image with the person walking through the portal, much more so than the other aspects we talked about when it comes to teleportation and portals, like me, I was always bringing up the movie Jumper. I think in the far future, when transportation is very high tech, when it's a technological advancement, strangely enough, I think this is a much greater story element generator than we talked earlier in the week. As opposed to teleportation being a huge problem at the table, I find that with technology, it's far easier to accept the fact that this becomes a story element. Happy Friday, TGI Friday, guys. Um, you know, teleport your godlings. It's Friday. I don't know. Just trying to come up with something stupid. Anyway, the idea that factions, governments, alien civilizations, past, present, and future have the ability to transport themselves from one place to another, I think lends itself very easily in science fiction for us to use it as a story element. I think one of the main things is that the minute we get to step through a portal somewhere else, something else gets to stare right the hell back at us out of the abyss, right? So, if you wanted to start a game literally where the PCs are much like the very first movie Stargate before the television show even started, hey, society has discovered, found, was beamed information on how to build. They have the first ever Stargate, portal, teleport circle. They've literally discovered the only wormhole in existence sitting somewhere behind Saturn or something. Or society has gone out into our own solar system and we've colonized. We're mining Mercury. We've got beaming stations around our sun. We've got a whole civilization, growing up, living in and around the various moons of Jupiter and Saturn. And then one day someone's like, you know what? We have enough power to open up our own portal, or I don't know, use a wormhole. I mean, not wormhole, a black hole to transport ourselves. And then boom, you open up what would be humanity's first foray into a larger, wider universe. You could even go so far, which I like this idea, that much like time travel, there's the idea that the minute a technology exists, it can't help but spread everywhere. So it's possible that the minute a single one-way teleportation circle, warp hole, hyperspace, instant transportation thing exists, that it will automatically mean that everybody everywhere will use it. Sorry about getting out of frame, guys. My kitty's old. Yeah, kitty. Infinite Role Play says teleportation would be so ridiculously regulated and wasted as a commercial good, like futuristic TikTok videos with the slap yourself in the back challenge. Oh, how the hell you combine teleportation and TikTok videos? I don't know, but yes, it would. I I would dare challenge you that it would be regulated. I think there would be a big mistake, capital B, capital M. Um, I think there would be a huge BM before there would be the regulations, because you come on now, we're already thinking of hmm chin scratch. What's the worst thing I could do? Oh, I know. And then somebody's going to end up doing that thing. Whether it's for idealistic reasons, whether it's for revolutionary reasons. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's so weird. Hey, whatever, dude. Hey, you're the one who's still absolutely positively working on the Saturday morning cartoon role playing game. So don't don't get it twisted, dude. You're absolutely invited with the rest of us. Pelora, yeah. Tesla's like extreme Portal. Yeah, hell yeah. Like the video game Portal could. Oh man, could you imagine a squad of soldiers going up against another squad of soldiers with, like, I don't know, shoulder mounted portal casters or something? That'd be really strange and really, I don't know how I would role play on a game. It's like, hey guys, we're using miniatures and we're going to have to use a three-dimensional process to put the miniatures in the air and stuff. Yeah, yeah, I'm with you, Pelor. Like, sports with portals would be pretty sweet to see. Each team begins to start, and there's nothing on the field, and then all of a sudden these portals start to open, and your eyes trying to follow everywhere everyone's going. Uh, I I suppose visually, the opening scene in X-Men Days of Future Past is a really good depiction of that. If you wanted to find a movie with using teleportation portals and reaching through and opening them up in various manners to have someone attack somebody else, it's actually pretty good. Um, Infinite says, well, it depends. Tesla invented wireless, actually wire transmission of power, but we are only recently seeing wireless phone chargers on the market. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Tesla did come up um, with the idea of wirelessly transmitting energy. I think at the time, the idea and the technology to do it was well ahead of its time. It hadn't progressed there, but I'm absolutely like that. Scott says that would make teleporters act like summoners. It could, depending on what's on the other end of the portal. And of course, while we were talking, for 4 days past, about how individuals would be blinking around different places or jumping from one portal to another. When you uh, start talking technology, we start ramping up sizes where we're starting to, like, shove capital ships through small holes, right? It's opening up portals that are large enough, like the St. Louis Arch or something, where you know that kind of thing. Yeah. If it says, well, he never finished because he had his funding pulled. Yeah, there's the movie The Current War is out, and any I haven't heard any reviews of it. The Current War, which is a movie based on Edison versus Tesla and that whole thing. There, like you said, the regulations in terms of these teleport portals. I think it would really fit if humanity was, like, sent a message from deep space much like the movie Contact, where um, humanity receives a message from deep space. Oh, there's an alien race out there. It comes in math. They do the math. They find out it's a blueprint. They make a blueprint to build the thing, and then you get pulled into a larger intergalactic society. And then from there, humanity who wants to, be like children and, F up the teleportation thing. The people there are like, yeah, we've been doing this for like, I don't know, 10,000 years. So you might want to calm your ass down and you know, not start shoving everything you can by opening portals everywhere. Also, if all the big mistakes, if all the giant BMs have been done already, the regulations would fit inside of a culture, intergalactic culture that uses those things. Much like, hey, there's restriction on, opening up teleport or wormholes and shoving your capital ships through them to attack innocent planets in mere moments, right? Now, before we started, Tesla brought up the anime Gantz, where we don't have to necessarily say that every teleportation or wormhole or warp circle or whatever you want to call it, teleportation circle, works instantaneously, accurately all the time. I mean, we brought up a ton of methods that would cause problems, like a very slow teleportation. And slow could take on any number of effects. Like in Gantz, there is a very slow form of Star Trek's transporters, right? Where the individuals and objects in it are slowly undigitized and then rebuilt on the other end, whether that means that it's, you can just beam down to a planet, whether that means you physically have to send explorers or mercenaries or whatever to a location to set up a receiving pad for you to get there. And that process could take anywhere from, let's say, a couple of minutes to, hell, it might take an hour to fully undigitize a human being from their skin and their muscle and bone and nervous system and their lungs and organs, to have it rebuild on the other end and protect the receiving objects, where, hey, it's not just, oh, click, boom, we just stepped through. It might be like, okay, someone's going to have to be here and monitor the progress of this, because if we don't, this person's going to end up getting, reconstructed in a bad way because of the high energy electrical storms or solar flares or particulates flowing in the poisonous atmosphere, or magnetic waves on the planet's planetary belt or something, or high or low gravity could affect it. Those kind of things. You know what I mean? Yeah. Humanity brought into a larger world. It's like, yeah, all humanity becomes minorities. Yeah, in a major intergalactic society. I'm down with that. Um, oh man, yeah. Oh, of course. Scott's pose like it's just a dot matrix teleporter. Yeah. The aliens look at the humans as they're like doing their like dot matrix rebuilding, and they're just sitting there folding their arms like, really? You couldn't get a laser printer teleporter? You had to go with the dot matrix? That's so early 80s. Yeah. But that's something that's often not brought up too many times. Um, is is the idea that maybe some technology is a little older than others, or parallel technology starts to exist. Humanity's like, we've discovered teleportation. It takes us 3 hours, and they get out into space and like, we're going to dominate everything. And then the alien culture's out there shaking their heads like, really, really, we we let our children play with that as toys. you know. Yeah, infinite role play is like in a sufficiently advanced society, what would be more important or prevalent? Teleportation or transhuman tech? Stargate versus eclipse phase? You know, I could see an argument going both ways, right? If you are a cautious society, I could see eclipse phase dominating a Stargate society where people are like, you know what, I don't think we can go beyond our own galaxy. I think we need to focus in on ourselves. But past practice, I think we would be Stargate before we become eclipse phase. I think I think if you had the choice to um, effectively become immortal by downloading brains, cortical stacks, genetic modification, living in synthetic android bodies, um, AI being smart. I think while you're doing all that, you're going to have a bunch of people over there with their mouths drooling like, a, a wormhole, Stargate, step through to another world. Uh, uh, and they're just going to, while everyone's working on eclipse phase, you're going to have that one person who's like, doot, 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 doot. See ya, I'm stepping through. I don't care what happens to me. Bye. And they're just going to do it. So uh, that's just me. I think you'll have very brilliant people, but I think eclipse phase transhumanist society is a collection of a lot of very intelligent and advanced technologies coming together. And I think as a people, we're not very collective that way. Um, I think, I mean, we're still messing with technologies we still don't understand. Like we're still newbies when it comes to, I don't know, nuclear radiation, nuclear power and radiation. Um, and yet, when it comes to safety protocols and long-term effects, we're pretty much like, long-term, eh. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with nuclear power. I'm saying like the minute we find something, we use it. Like we don't wait and go, I wonder if 30 other different technologies would work really good with this before we start to use it. So that's just my opinion. Now you could make the argument that, and since we're talking about tabletop role-playing games, I would absolutely have like one versus the other, where you have your whole entourage of people going like, whoa, 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 stop opening the teleport portals. Like, let's get a handle of this, because every time you step through, you're stepping into poisonous atmospheres and high gravity planetary systems, and causing fist fights with other alien species and things. And damn, we haven't even downloaded my grandmother yet to her first cortical stack, and you're out there causing these problems and stuff. So I could see like that being, hell, that might even be like a political, are you pro step or anti stepping, you know um I don't know what type of wording you could use, but you get my point, right? You're like, oh, you're just cowards. You don't want to go out into the farther universe because our world's destroyed, and we're ruining everything, and then other people are like, well, I don't know. Plura's like, her comment was like, I'm pretty sure attacking innocent planets would be the crime. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Spreading our seed everywhere, pretty nasty. And pretty efficient too. Infinite says, well, technological evolution, what comes first, teleporting people or the digitization of human consciousness? And which do you think is more powerful? Personally, I think the digitizing human consciousness is more powerful, um, before teleporting people, because I think that's, if I had to weigh it, I think we're already digitizing, whereas like breaking through time and space, I think is a technology that's really far future. But I think if we're able to digitize a human consciousness, it will then, doing it once means it'll happen a million times over, right? And if you could take one brilliant scientist, digitize them, make 100 copies, and then get them to work, or you could whole families would be digitized, and or astronauts or something, and then you could literally send out 100 colonists, all experts, and then copy those 100 colonists and then send them to 100 different planets, right? So now you've got 1,000 people all trained exactly the same. Um, yeah, editing memories and all that kind of stuff. I think we're already getting there, closer than teleportation on a time scale. But what a great, damn, what a what a great and wonderful world. So, dude, we're noobs when it comes to electricity. We don't even know what direction power flows. Yeah, we're we're like cats when it comes to technology. A lot of times, we're just like, I wonder what happens if we do this. And then there's always that one person that's like, oh, you mean the red button? Here, what? Here, click. Don't, please don't put a big sign that says don't touch, because people will do it. They'll just, come on, microphone, stop moving. There you go. All right. Um, yeah, Infinite says, what if our current concepts of quantum computing is a cover up for amalgamating scientific minds? Yeah, when it comes to people, one part of transhumanism and post-humanist ideas is the singularity, that at some point there's going to be a singularity. And yeah, it's like, I'm such a hashtag nerd. But I think different people would consider their singularity to happen in different ways, right? Like one group thinks that, oh, we're going to create AI, and the minute we create super AI, it'll be the singularity, and the world's going to change. Maybe the singularity is the downloading of the very first conscious mind. Maybe the singularity is us taking our first foray into another, outside of our galaxy, to travel beyond the Oort cloud. Maybe the singularity is being able to be rid of the need for currency, where time, energy, and resources all come together to make such things free or nearly free for mankind. But combination of 3D printing and life extension and automated work that literally puts all of humanity out of work, or what we consider to be, work today. That might be the singularity. So I think you get a combination of those. And if you take that and then rip it forward, like you could, combining these two, I could see teleportation, wormholes, warps, whatever, being a gateway for us being our own aliens to each other. So one person creates one portal, goes through it, and then all of a sudden it just explodes everywhere. The first portal, it costs a couple $1 trillion to make. After that, the price just will plummet, and because it could be copied, right? So once the price plummets, everybody and their mom is like, has one in their basement and stuff, and start stepping through. And then you're going to have cults, scientific legions of scientists, military operations, resource gatherers, isolationists, dictators, all kinds of enclaves, and people just like, let's pack up our shit and just leave. Let's go somewhere else, because everybody here are just, I'm living around a bunch of a-holes and I'm going. And then from that point on, not just culturally, but even genetically and technologically, I think you're going to have a lot of divergent people, especially if you get like a lot of isolationist communities. They go out in there and, I don't know, they start colonizing like their own star systems, and multiple planets, multiple floating asteroids, multiple habitats, multiple automated, built, constructed space habitats, elevators and orbital rings and things, all on their own, outside the purview of humanity's beginnings. You could be a some kind of explorer or astronaut or law enforcer, and get there and literally not see anything that reminds you of humanity, because you know, combining this with a transhumanist ideal, it's like, why would, say, people have feet when you could put opposable thumbs, you could have a prehensile hands on your feet, or tails, or scales, or why would you have to look human anyway? Dead man's like mopey nerds. Yeah, yeah, oh hell yeah. We are. We are. Yep. Now, you know, along with genetic engineering and cortical stacks and downloading brains and things, um, there would be no reason to, for example, why communicate verbally when everyone's got a internal, instant communication, internal piece of rice that allows them to send gravity waves or neutrinos or microwaves or radio waves to each other person's brain instantly, along with audio and visual images. At some point, why verbally talk any longer? Maybe people can, genetically modify themselves to survive in a vacuum by having their eyes and mouths and noses sealed off or something. Like, there's so many different ways to look at humanity, such as, copying, zoxing themselves, copying their own digital brain patterns to perform different types of activities. You could send off seed ships with colonists with that are all digital information in the cargo hold of the ships. You could have mechanical and biological beings for the crew to swap themselves in and out of, and then set up teleportation portals and just teleport from one place to another. Um, yeah. Did anyone mention how the invention of teleportation created the Big Bang, both ending and creating our universe? Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. I wonder what happens if I stick an atomic weapon through a portal. What would happen? Yeah, someone's gonna do that. Someone definitely will do that. Uh, I also like the fangs that you put, the evil fangs that you put on there. Like, hell, why wouldn't? Are you saying that somebody wouldn't take the opportunity to create their own Big Bang, to literally spark their own universe somewhere out else in the far galaxy, because I don't know, they could try it? Yep. Well, what if I put a portal through a portal? Yeah, that's the portable whole bag of holding thing. Yeah, no, you don't want to do that. Ripping society asunder, ripping the very fabric of time and space, planets falling into it and stuff, which I suppose you could combine a vast intergalactic, multi-galactic society with a post-apocalypse, as whole distant galaxies are getting sucked through a ripple in time and space, and everyone's like, yeah, I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of light years we could escape before the rest of the galaxy shrinks down into this one pinhole. But I don't know. Yeah, it's like shock horror, much wow. Yeah, who knows what the hell would have happened if you did that? And guaranteed, somebody will do it. Somebody would. I mean, um, it hell, having it happen by accident, right? Mercenaries step through portal. No, landing party lands on planet. Landing party opens up a giant stargate. More mercenaries step through stargate. Soldiers step through stargate with one soldier, as a how you have that one soldier that has like the long range radio on their back. Instead, on their back they might have like a portal on their back, so that they step through with a portal on their back so other people could step through. So it could be a portal within a portal within a portal. Yeah, Infinite's like a portal through a portal equals a supermassive black hole. Yeah. Yeah. Polar's like, do you remember the thing with the LHC destroying the world? Mm-mm-mm. Yeah. Pretty bad. Although, Although, if you wanted to use it as a concept for, like, I don't know, a Green Lantern, Silver Surfer, um, super super quantum level intergalactic society of people that can fly between the stars nakedly. That would be a kind of a cool thing, where um, Galactus and the Living Tribunal and these other super powerful comic book concepts exist in a world. Then this would just be small potatoes for them, but but be pretty interesting to role play it out. I don't know. Beyond a one shot, I'm not sure how far you could get, but sure, it'd be kind of cool. Um, I suppose given enough sufficient um, technology, player characters could almost be like unto gods, of them seeding life in other worlds, much like the engineers did in the movie Prometheus. That the player characters could have enough technology and a lifespan long enough to watch life grow on other worlds, be it you know be it sapient, bipedal life, or starting as far away as like amoeboid life and watching it grow. Yeah, Plur says make colliders into super weapons. Takes years to build, but blinks out a planet when it fires up. Yeah, yeah. Oh, information. All right, man. Have a great one, man. You gotta go. But your nerdism is always welcome here, dude. Always. Yeah, how would a teleportation related industrial accident look like? Um, Other than explosions, maybe people trapped and merged inside of objects, done in a weird, twisted kind of manner. Um, yeah, maybe there's a maybe there's something called like an improbability field, where if you step into it, the the most unlikely event will happen, no matter how unlikely the event could be. Yeah, Tesla says that it requires the energy from a supernova to operate. Each teleport requires the death of a star. Oh, Dead Man. Yeah, the creation of Dr. Manhattan. Ooh, and if it can happen once, it might be able to happen again. Who knows? That might be a plot in the Watchmen television series, which I've been watching. Yeah. But if you have to dismantle a star to operate something, that's pretty damn dangerous on its own, let alone using it to power some other device. Like, wow. Because sure, there might not be much life in a planetary system with a supernova in it, but yeah, if you have the power to wink a star out of existence, yeah, wow. And especially timescales. Um, Watching and listening to Isaac Arthur's YouTube channel, which he doesn't need my help, but yeah, go over there if you love your scientific nerdisms. But he talks about massive timescales, and I don't know. Would people want to operate for thousands of years to dismantle a star to cause something that winks something out of existence in an instant? I don't know. Somebody would, but wow. Teleported cheese is always dry. Yeah. Oh, who knows? Andromeda's Nova Bombs. You mean a television show, Andromeda? I don't remember them. Okay, okay. Yeah, wow, I responded pretty. Yeah, Andromeda's. I don't remember the television show Andromeda having the Nova bombs, but I imagine it. Yeah, which was such a shame that show had such a low budget, because I love the concept of it, but eh, again, a little far too ahead of its time, I think. Plus, is a Dyson sphere powering a portal big enough to send a cheese sandwich to someone on the other side of the system. We did it! We sent a cheese sandwich! Someone's sitting there already, like, flipping the cheese sandwich over, grilling the grilled cheese, like, so? I just made a grilled cheese sandwich now. Yeah. Oh, why? Thank you, there, Tesla. Um, you know, unfortunately, unfortunately the problem with having our setting have any type of teleportation again just means that yeah, it's going to be used and abused in the worst way. I forgot about white holes. Hmm. And I don't mean that in the dirty way. Actually, yes, I do. Um, anyway, the idea that um, I think in order to incorporate this in a tabletop game, you would. Uh-oh. Really, Palora? Teleported cheese is like American cheese. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? We've imported some of our favorite um cheese entrepreneurs, so we're not quite pedestrian with our teleported cheese dried crumbly dried out cheeses. I'm sure someone will figure out a way to reconstitute the very good cheeses that you are associated with. I mean, let's be real. Once we start teleporting the cheese, you're going to have to start teleporting grapes and tea, and coffee, and you know, other kinds of spread. Although maybe the only cheese that's possible is like spray cheese from a can. So there you go. There's your ideal scenario, Laura. Cheese from a can. Oh man. So now I think the first step is you're going to have to break your own world, right? So if there are teleport tubes or teleportation things at all, you're going it behooves you to have factions that have already done all the things the player characters are going to end up wanting to do because you're going to already think of them yourselves, right? Um, Shoving a big bad explosive through a teleport tube, or opening a portal inside of a portal, or opening a portal inside of a massive supernova, or the corona of a star, or the you know, opening sending a portal to the center of the earth and opening it up and letting you know, the molten core of the earth flow through and all that kind of stuff. It's going to have, it will have that already happened before the PCs are born, you know, before they were half a chromie between their parents, or you know, um, dropped into a petri dish. These things would have already happened. So how did society handle it? What what were the residuals, and how did they regulate it, right? Are there space marines that have systems that can detect where these devices are created? Is the power, is there such a power level to power them that it's impossible to set one up, activate it, you know, do your dumb thing with it and take it down? Like maybe it takes months, years, tens of years to even set one up, to get it, um, to get the power, and to not use navigation. Well, I can only think of the word navigation, but to get the three-dimensional coordinates properly set up to even open a portal to where you want to go itself might require um, a level of mechanical and mathematical experience that takes a long time to configure. So you could have tons of limitations on just setting one up, especially the power and the resource part of it. And then after powering it, where's that power coming from? If you're draining energy off of a star, it's going to be noticed immediately. Once the background radiation and energy signatures start changing, especially in a, we already scan our skies for anomalies. In a high-tech world, it would be your average child with their own um, digital systems could scan the cosmos 24/7, you know, with long range telescopes, just because the minute there's an anomaly, they could, you know, your average 8-year-old is going to look down at their high levels of mathematical formula. They're going to, measure pi because they've memorized pi out to 28 digits, and use coefficients and signs and whatever, and go, yeah, let me call my friends up so we can go bike riding in Alpha Centauri's, or whatever. So I think player characters messing around with that kind of stuff will happen, and you might want to let it happen once or a couple of times, but if there's going to be someone with a big backhand and smack them across the back of the head, like, yeah, you can't do that. Um, Plural's like, I'm pretty sure you can borrow a telescope. Can't remember which one. The scientific communities allow you to borrow telescopes. As a matter of fact, I think you can schedule telescopic time. And I know here north of me in Central Ohio, in city of Delaware, you can. They have open telescope days where you can go there and just have basically classes, and people tell you about telescopes, and you can just take a look. Like, they might, let's say for example, they're looking at Mars or something. You can go there and watch them look at Mars. You could take your turn and look at Mars and have little classes and stuff like that. So in the far future, guaranteed, I think, I can't imagine that every square inch of what is visible to every piece of society will be scanned and detected all the time, even if it is a passive scanning. So, yeah, no. Like, Isaac Arthur brings up the fact that stealth technology, while really cool in science fiction stories, would be incredibly difficult to do in reality, because the power expenditures from starships, habitats, and intergalactic societies would automatically make them visible. A starship going from one planet to another will be expending out, whether it's fusion contrails, ionic engines, nuclear power plants. They'll be expending so much heat and background radiation and radio waves and energy that you really couldn't stealth it out. So maybe now, mind you, I'm being a Debbie Downer, right? Like, saying that you couldn't do these things. The fact of the matter is that you probably could do them. It's just a matter of the time, energy, and resources to do it. So a terrorist organization that wants to open up a portal and drop an old school atomic bomb through it, it might just be a matter of tracking them down, trying to shut it down, and then finding where they are before they can get it off. So, and the player characters might be on either side of that. They could be law enforcers, or they could be the ones trying to do the thing, to create the thing. Yeah, you guys talking about, um, Joseph Keenan says that academic telescopes you have to cage fight to get time on, at least the good ones. I just I just got an image of, like, scientists cage fighting, like, they're coming in a ring with, like, glasses and yellow lab coats, bouncing around the ring, and, in the blue shorts. Oh man, let's get ready to nerd out. Yeah. Dead Man says you can get data from the Very Large Array in New Mexico, and I believe there was controversy in building an array on one of the mountains in Hawaii, and I believe they shut it down. But they were trying to build another telescopic array there, and cheese boxing, fisticuffs, pugilism. Oh man, yeah. Come on, say yeah. um, but yeah, I think once we get out of our own gravity well, setting up a telescope to just watch the night sky, you'll just 3D print yourselves super high-end telescopes, and of course those telescopes would be not just visual telescopes; they'll be sensing, like, energy expenditures and things like that. So yeah, once we're able to detect, like, quantum energy background, as people start, quantum tunneling their way with wormholes and that kind of thing, yeah. And Joseph says, yeah, that's for optical and radio. Yeah, there's all kinds of telescopes, and the more specific the telescope, you could probably get a longer range or a higher fidelity from the telescope. So if you're only looking for radio waves, or you're only looking for microwaves or gamma ray emissions or neutrinos or I don't know, gravitons or scions or something. If you're just looking for those things, yeah, I can't imagine an intergalactic society of like teleporters not having a hold on it. And come on, if you if your planet it could possibly just slightly become victim to one of these errant individuals who's misusing the technology, you can't tell me they're not going to have planetary defenses against it, right? The minute someone quantum tunnels within 50 light years of their space, they're going to send somebody out there to see what the hell's going on. So if you could have like a star map with an overlay of all the teleportation, I don't know if you call them airports, teleport places where people have their luggage and they're buying tickets to other worlds, and they're standing in line and they're waiting for them, waiting for the Stargate to open, and they pay their ticket, they dial in where they're going to go for vacation or go off for another, job opportunity in Alpha Centauri, and they step through. There may be like fourth dimensional maps that trace all of the tunnels that lead you from one place to another. And of course, we always brought up the idea that it may look like you're literally making one step from one planet to another, or one planet into a starship's hold, or to a habitat or something, but there might actually be a space, a dimension in between where things live, where there's other energies. We've seen this in hyperspace movies where a starship goes into hyperspace or steps through a wormhole, and it's like chaos where they're like dodging, weaving, navigating, trying to stay on path to exit out of the wormhole. So again, using planar travel, extra dimensional spaces. I see you poking your head up there, Cthulhuoids. There could be something in between the spaces of space, which of course someone will probably want to drop off one of those old school atomic weapons inside of, because they can. You might have to watch out for that. So now, like Stargate, the show and movie, I suppose you could create a post-apocalyptic vast intergalactic society of thousands upon thousands of worlds, because something happened that destroyed the network in the first place, and different cultures and societies are trying to both stop and or reestablish the gateways to go to other places. So, because in the eclipse phase they have that with the Pandora gates, that the Pandora gates have been there for thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of years, and we're just finding them. The same may be true for other alien species, where they are located on other planets and other worlds, and their conditions might not be in the best conditions we're thinking of. So maybe a very high-tech society, their sun, maybe they had beaming stations around their sun. The beaming stations, were solar collectors. They beam that energy down to the planet to power their teleporting circles or gateways or something. No big deal. Okay, society collapses. They're cut off. People are cut off from their resources. Humanity finds these gates, but now the gates are only on intermittently because no one's been upkeeping the beaming stations. Maybe the 3,800 beaming stations they did have orbiting their sun, most of them are shut down, and there's only like 14 that are still active. So maybe when those beaming stations circle back around their own blue star to activate the teleport circle, that's when humanity can get there and like, okay, listen, guys, we're going to have to take our survival gear. This high gravity world with a poison atmosphere, the gate is only open for 10 minutes every 37 years. So when we step through, we're going to be there for a while unless we can then figure out a way to get off planet to get the other, beaming stations online, and so on and so forth, right? This is basically um, teleport circles are giant MacGuffins. They are giant plot thread creators, and I can't think of a better plot thread creator than to to monster of the week your setting, right? You can monster of the week the hell out of it, right? Your PCs are like, okay, guess what? You're going to step through a portal and do this thing and come up with any number of ways. You're going to step through to rescue explorers that have suffered time dilation. You're stepping through to help an alien civilization return their leaders back. You're stepping through to go after some pirates that have pirated, a Stargate and then are stealing things. You're stepping through to go after um, terrorists that have commandeered a planetary system's teleport system. Network, and they're threatening to dismantle it if they don't get what they want. Again, there are criminals that are willing to shove an old school atomic weapon through one, and if you don't get there in time, they're going to drop it into the corporate headquarters of this Coruscant-like planet or something, so on and so forth. So yeah, instant story generators, can't get past that as well. Also, coming up with really strange and cool and bizarre and deadly ramifications for opening a portal within a portal. Um, Other than explosions, does it shunt someone to a different time or space? Um, does it send people over? Does it cause a strange time dilation where someone is thrown 3 weeks into the future? Does it shift and change and morph what we think of as humanity? Does it literally open up a portal to, yeah, I'm looking you in the eye, Cthulhuoids? Maybe it opens up a portal and lets them step through, and that all the ancient texts of a world in which, you know, in the past when dragons used to exist, and those people in the past used to think that that's just myth, it didn't exist. Maybe technology brings about a world in which our own true horrors come to life, in this intergalactic society, which would be a very cool way to have mythological um, apocalyptic horrors combining with your far future. So you could have a Cthulhu tech styled world because of teleportation circles. And we didn't really even talk about the ubiquity of them. Like, how common are they? How much energy does it take to use them? Is there a specific set of skills to build them, or can you just take a backpack, drop it on the ground, hit a button, and have it open up? Um, are there? Oh, hey. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Love you, baby. Have a great one. Call me if you want to. I'm on Steph's phone. Okay. All right, baby. Love you. I love you. All right, be careful. Bye. Well, guys, that brings us to the end. The Heraldrix has called an end to this stream. Myself projecting it into the very cerebral cortex of all of you out there. Thank you very much. Now, I want to let you know that next week there will be a show each day. I understand that many of us in the States won't be able to participate because it is Thanksgiving week. It is next Thursday. For those who don't celebrate Thanksgiving in the way that we do in the States, we are still going to have a show each day, and my idea is to talk about the circumstances that lead up to and the after effects of the reason for having a Thanksgiving. In general, it is the pioneering spirit to go to a different world, a different land, meet new people, and giving thanks for being able to survive the harvest, building a society. And what does that mean? And are we going to do that literally historically? Can we do that, scientifically like sci-fi and other worlds? Could we do that in our classic Dungeons and Dragons and literally um, start the game out with a everything you've ever known about your own world is dead as thousands of sailing ships leave the old world, as literally the society burns to the ground as massive fires and volcanoes explode, and this is where elves and dwarves and gnomes are all on sailing ships sailing across the vast ocean to arrive in a new place, a place that is completely different. So that's what we're going to talk about next week. We're literally it's we're not going to talk about Turkey. I mean, we will bring up Turkey, of course, and all the sides. But what we're going to talk about is on day one, player characters, NPCs. What do you do when you're in a new world? And is that world going to be alien? Is it a world where um, our is the old world built off of old classic tropes and the new world has new tropes? So maybe the old school orcs that sailed across the vast ocean or stepped through a portal or whatever, whatever the case may be, maybe the new world orcs look at you like you're just a pedestrian. You're like, like, why are you acting bestial like that? Like, what's with your rage problems? We're scholars on this side of the world, that kind of thing. So I thought that would be a great idea to talk about, to dismantle the idea a of a settlers, and also talk about the idea of maybe making the player characters responsible for the much making the player characters responsible for the new world, that they are not just murder hobos, but they are literally here in the new world, and in order for them to survive, they're responsible for getting food and water and shelter, and responsible for the expansionist idea in a hostile world. And whether that hostility is the hostility from the environment, is it from the flora and fauna, is it hostility from uh, an adversarial nature with the people who already live there? Who knows? Maybe it's a social thing. Maybe it's a political thing. Uh, when you step into somebody else's, you go to somebody else's house, and you don't take your shoes off. Yeah, what the hell happens there? So anyway, that's the whole point. That's the idea. So guys, thank you very much. Your time is very valuable. I very much appreciate you guys spending it with me. I hope you're able to leave here. My cat. You leave here. I'm kidding. With a little bit of change. Oh, stop it. You know you love me.